What up and welcome back, episode magic number 13 here, 2030-31 NBA season recap. We'll start it with the draft. It's a draft that's headlined by one Amari Swift, a two-way forward out of Texas A&M, and Abiz Ojale, a really talented big man. Both of them positioned to be the position player of the future. Abiz Ojale, kind of an inside-outside type of player, very similar to Robert Mack. Amari Swift in the vein of LeBron James, very up the alley of Jacoby Cleaves and Deontay Dixon before him. The Boston Celtics are the great lucky ones in this one. They own their first-round pick and the Jazz's through the Jaylen Brown deal, and they end up going number 1 and number 2 in the draft lottery. So they've positioned themselves already with Xavier Carter on the roster to potentially make a big swing or to bring in a pair of talented young players to build for the future. There's a very serious front line of Ojale, Carter, and Amari Swift that would be physically unmatched. But before we even get to the NBA draft, Kareem Robinson and Evan Mobley completely changed the league. Kareem Robinson in Chicago, you'll remember just a couple seasons ago, he signed the qualifying offer with the Clippers, player option on the final fourth year of that. He's entering year 3 of the deal, and during the offseason, he tells the Bulls, I'm not going to pick up that option. Do with that information what you please. And what they please to do with that is they flip that to the Boston Celtics for the number 2 overall pick, plus Davis Montgomery, the number 2 pick a year ago, 2029. He just hasn't panned out. Really a swing and a miss from Boston's standpoint. Darius Dixon goes 1, Deontay Dixon goes 3, Davis Montgomery, the ugly middle child stuck in between it, plus future first from New York, Utah, and the Clippers, all to get Kareem Robinson to Boston. Meanwhile, the Pistons, they move Evan Mobley to Golden State. They're coming off of a tough first-round exit. They feel as if they need to make some type of change, and the change they decide to make is go all in on a defensively decrepit backcourt of LaMelo Ball and Desmond Cooper, and they move Evan Mobley to Golden State. It's a shocking move, but it all sets up an NBA draft in which Amari Swift goes 1. Abiz Ojale shockingly falls all the way to number 5. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who had the top overall pick, a huge winner there. Some other big names, Russell Kingston ends up being a pretty good one at 14, and Alphonso Gaines with the Brooklyn Nets at 16. The offseason itself, though, is a ton of returning. Basically, every single notable star, young guard, CJ McCoy, Jalen Justice, Dwayne Qualls, they all head back to whence they came. Brandon Ingram, one of the veteran movers, he heads back to Charlotte, his home state of North Carolina, in a signing trade for Anthony Edwards, as well as 2 first-round picks. The second of them, a swap in 2033 that ends up being disastrous for Charlotte. And then Memphis Reed, he goes to join his brother Brighton in Brooklyn. So some family affairs, some homecomings in many instances for some of these veterans. And then the big offseason move from a trade perspective is the San Antonio Spurs. They have to tear it down. Sasha Kasparov wants out. He goes to the rival Dallas Mavericks via sign and trade that leads to a trade of Cole Anthony to the Washington Wizards for Mateo Delgado and a couple future first-round picks. Look, that trade, though, between Washington and San Antonio, it's a win-win for both sides, as we'll get to, and actually see the immediate returns in the first season. During the regular season, though, it's a big, somewhat surprising year from the Atlanta Hawks. 55 wins from Brandon Boston. He gets a third-team All-NBA nod out of it. The Celtics, this young veteran kind of melded group, gets 54 wins, but the the Golden State Warriors are the best team in basketball with the introduction of Evan Mobley, winning 66 games. And that all preempts an MVP for Javon Rule, a Defensive Player of the Year for Evan Mobley, and a surprise Rookie of the Year for Abiz Ojale, 18 and basically 19 and 10 as a rookie with 3 assists. 6-man Carlos Fernandez, like I said, San Antonio, this win-win. Mateo Delgado, Carlos Fernandez really start arriving and start building their way, as evident by that 48-win season. The All-NBA teams, it's a lot of these new faces, this new era. Jalen Justice, Javon Rule competing for the best guard in the NBA. Jonathan Kuminga, Jason Sanders kind of competing for the best forward in the NBA. Jace Redding as a really surprising All-NBA second-team season. But overall, this new era of the NBA just starts taking over with this elite guard crop. Kareem Robinson making an All-NBA appearance as well. So completely new world that we're working at as we head into the playoffs. And once we get there, some familiar matchups. The Dallas Mavericks finally make that run. They break through only to get to the conference finals and run into a familiar foe of the Golden State Warriors, where they fall there. The Pistons, without Evan Mobley, go down in the opening round. And the Wizards, again, immediate winners of that Cole Anthony trade. They now, with Zane Bennett and Devin Anderson, make a trip all the way to the NBA Finals. Last one, Trae Young, man. Look, he's not somebody that I necessarily would really tout as an elite player, but the facts speak for themselves. They don't win championships, but they get pretty damn close, and they get to the conference finals. Again, he's made it to the NBA Finals where they got swept by the Pelicans. He pulls upsets the Hawks here in the first round as an 8 seed. So overall, just incredibly dynamic career that Trae Young has made, almost like a Reggie Miller type at this point in his career. When we get to the finals, though, very little competition. Javon rolls 70 points in Game 4, NBA Finals, NBA playoffs, record for points scored in a single game. Really not all that competitive after the first one, and that, even so, wasn't much of it. Jonathan Kuminga has a big performance in Game 3. Overall, averages a double-double with 3 double-doubles in 4 games. And the Golden State Warriors are back on top. They take down a new opponent, but the result is all the same. Golden State, the 2031 NBA champs.